Only in Kentucky can one county be home to a glacial relic swamp that stayed mostly untouched since the Ice Age, and a river bluff that was so strategic that Thomas Jefferson once rumored it should be the capital of the United States. Hi, I'm Michael, and I'm learning a little bit more about Kentucky, one county at a time, all 120 of them. And today, I'm learning about Hickman County. If you haven't already, I hope you check out the other counties I've covered. They're all listed in the playlist on my profile. If I haven't covered yours yet, I'll get to it soon, I promise. I'm going in mostly alphabetical order. If I missed something, feel free to correct me in the comments to let me know how wrong I am, or that I should have included something else, or that I totally butchered the pronunciation of something, because I do that a lot. But that way we can all learn together. So to truly understand Hickman County, you have to look at the ground beneath your feet. It sits in the Jackson Purchase, the youngest region of Kentucky, both geologically and historically. And this land was part of the massive territory bought from the Chickasaw Nation in 1818 by Andrew Jackson and Isaac Shelby. Because it was the last part of the state to be officially settled by the Commonwealth, it has a distinct frontier energy that feels different from the bluegrass or the mountains. Geologically, this is a world of soft earth, so you won't find limestone bedrock or deep sinkholes like you see in central Kentucky. Instead, you'll find unconsolidated sediments from the Cretaceous and Tertiary periods, so sandstones and clays, ancient floodwaters of the Mississippi, basically. So this has created some of the most intensive and productive farmland in the state, where corn, soy, and wheat rule as a landscape of low rolling plains. The county was officially established in April of 1821 as the 71st county in the Commonwealth. It was named for Captain Paschal Hickman, a veteran of the Indian Wars, who was killed during the War of 1812. It's important to note that the city of Hickman, the one right on the river, is actually the seat of Fulton County. In Hickman County, the heart of the community is Clinton. The first pioneers here were mostly of Scottish-Irish descent, who moved west from eastern Kentucky looking for a fresh start on the flat, rich bottomlands. But long before them, this area was occupied by woodland and Mississippian peoples. So a lot of mound-building cultures who lived off the rich resources of the river. Interestingly enough, the original county seat was actually located at Columbus, right on the Mississippi. In the early 1800s, Columbus was known as the Iron Banks because its high, clay-colored bluffs looked like iron ore to early French explorers. Rising 200 feet above the river, these are very strategic high points along the entire Mississippi. Now, there's a rumor, a persistent rumor, that Thomas Jefferson once considered moving the nation's capital to the Iron Banks because of that strategic location. The idea was that it was the perfect central point for a growing nation, and it was also easily defensible. While it was never more than a legend, that strategic value made Columbus a massive target later in history. In 1838, those bluffs witnessed a somber chapter of American history, the Bench Detachment of the Cherokee Trail of Tears. About 1,100 people with 60 wagons and 600 horses arrived to Columbus. They were the only overlanded detachment out of 13 to pass through this specific part of Kentucky. They spent 10 agonizing days camped along the river in the November cold, waiting for ferries to take them across the mile-wide river into Missouri. Their time at the Iron Banks is now a marked part of the Heritage Trail at Columbus-Belmont State Park. By 1830, the county realized that having the seat of government on the very western edge of the territory wasn't practical for inland farmers, so they moved it. They moved the county seat to the centrally located town of Clinton, which was incorporated in 1832. The city of Clinton quickly became the commercial and educational heart of that entire region. So from 1873 to 1915, it was actually home to Clinton College, a Baptist institution that grew from a girls' school into a co-educational college, drawing students from across the tri-state area. But the river never let the people of Hickman County forget its power. When the Civil War broke out, Confederate General Leonidas Polk, the fighting bishop, transformed the Iron Banks into the Gibraltar of the West. He built Fort de Russy, installing 143 cannons to blockade the river and protect supply lines to Memphis and Vicksburg. Polk attempted a legendary feat of engineering. He tried to stretch a massive iron chain and anchor across the Mississippi to Belmont, Missouri. The chain was over a mile long, with links that were 11 inches long. However, the current of the Mississippi was stronger than Confederate iron. The chain snapped almost immediately. Despite the failure, the anchor and parts of that giant chain were rediscovered in 1925 and remain on display today. In November 1861, the county became the site of a major military milestone, A then unknown Union general named Ulysses S. Grant led his first major offensive of the war against the Confederate camp at Belmont, across the river from Columbus. It was a chaotic and bloody baptism for Grant. During the battle, the Confederates used a giant experimental cannon nicknamed Lady Polk. It weighed 15,000 pounds. At the end of the day, it was its own worst enemy. 2 days after the battle, the barrel exploded, killing 11 Confederate soldiers. The river that provided the county's wealth also brought its great disasters. During the Great Mississippi Flood of 1927, the original town of Columbus was almost completely submerged. Rather than giving up, the residents decided to do something kind of unprecedented. They literally moved the city. Using funds from the Red Cross, they moved over 150 homes and buildings to the top of the bluffs. It remains a rare example of an entire town being relocated for flood protection. If you head into the lowlands today, you'll find Murphy's Pond. It's a 175-acre swamp that is essentially a glacial relic, a time capsule of what the region looked like at the end of the last ice age. Because it was so difficult to drain, it survived the plow. Today, it's owned by Murray State University and is restricted to research because it has one of the highest concentrations of cottonmouth snakes in the United States. It's ancient, beautiful, and a dangerous reminder of the untamed purchase. Hickman County has always produced leaders. It's the birthplace of Edward Crossland, a Confederate officer and U.S. congressman, and Robert Humphreys, who served as a U.S. senator. It's also the birthplace of Norman Edsall, a Navy seaman whose name was eventually given to a U.S. destroyer. Today, Hickman is the least densely populated county in the state with about 4,500 residents. It remains a dry county, but it's focused on growth. They're currently building a new $4 million business commerce center in Clinton's Enterprise Park to attract modern industry. The Hickman-Fulton Riverport is also a vital link to the local economy, recently upgrading its conveyor systems to handle the massive agricultural exports of the region. Every April, the town square in Clinton fills up for the Spring Chicken Festival, featuring a wild wing cook-off. And every fall, history comes alive again at Columbus Belmont State Park from Civil War days. So, that's Hickman County. What did I get wrong this time?